Welcome to Engaging Recapped, Amnesty Bay, Maine, 1985. On an extremely turbulent evening, lighthouse guardian Thomas Curry, Tamura Morrison, finds an oblivious lady, Nicole Kidman, who appeared on the shore with an injury in her abdomen. He carries her to his home and shelters her. Despite the fact that she seems scared and confused when she awakens, Thomas offers her grace and tends to her injury. She lets him know she goes by Atlanta, Queen of Atlantis, and at that point the two became romantically involved. Thomas and Atlanta spend the following couple of years together, and they become parents to a son, Arthur. Everything appears to be great until one day when a group of Atlantean commandos burst into their home and begin to fight them, with the intention of returning Atlanta to her betrothed King Orvax. Atlanta retaliates and pounds the commandos, giving her the chance to escape with Thomas and Arthur. Atlanta tells Thomas she should get back to Atlantis for his and Arthur's safety. However, she vows to get back to the two of them someday in the future. She kisses Thomas farewell and then jumps into the sea, leaving Arthur her trident for when he is prepared to use it. Years later, we see Arthur as a kid on a school field trip to the aquarium. He is seen conversing with the fish, and two bullies begin to insult and ridicule him for it. A shark then, at that point, begins beating on the glass, cracking it slightly and startling every other person. They watch in amazement as all the ocean animals gather right behind Arthur, and his eyes sparkle yellow as he has them at his command. After 20 years, a group of pirates led by Jesse Kane, Michael Beach, and his son David, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, assume control over a submarine. After overcoming the men on board, the bad guys realized that they hit something, or rather, something hit them. It's the now grown-up Arthur, presently played by Jason Momoa, better referred to by a lot of people as Aquaman, acting as the hero. He advances into the sub and starts battling the pirates, laying every one of them out easily before pursuing the Kanes. Jesse fires an RPG at Arthur, believing he's killed him. Yet Arthur gets himself up and is totally fine. Arthur retaliates by piercing Jesse in the chest. The sub begins to take on water, and Jesse gets stuck under a torpedo. David frantically attempts to free his dad and begs for Arthur's assistance. However, he will not save Jesse on the grounds that he and his son have killed innocent people. David keeps attempting to free Jesse, yet he realizes his time is practically up, and he takes out an explosive prior to requesting David to get out and go kill Arthur. David hesitantly listens and moves out of the sub as he hears Jesse set off the explosive. Arthur saves different men while David moves away in another sub. Arthur joins Thomas as he looks out on the docks for Atlanta, as he has always done all these years. The two go to a bar where they see a news report of Aquaman's heroics, and Thomas realizes it was his son. He reminds Arthur how he intends to join both the surface world and the realm of Atlantis. A gathering of bikers then approach Arthur, apparently searching for a battle, yet they simply need to take pictures with him. Down in Atlantis, Arthur's half-brother Orm, Patrick Wilson, is with Arthur's mentor Nuidus Volko, Willem Dafoe, as they plan to meet with King Nereus of Zebel, Dolph Lundgren. Orm maintains that Nereus should form an alliance with him in a supposed effort to unite different realms of the ocean. Yet Orm truly needs a reason to go after the surface world, believing they will strike upon Atlantis first. Nereus is likewise aware of Arthur's existence. However, Orm won't recognize his half-brother, or that his mother lived among the surface inhabitants. All of a sudden, a blast hits the town, and a submarine comes in for an assault. Orm and Nereus join forces to strike back, and Orm figures out how to send the sub colliding with the lowest depths of the sea. Nereus is then persuaded to favor Orm, as they prepare to send a message to the surface. Arthur and Thomas are leaving the bar when Arthur is found by Princess Mara, Amber Heard, daughter of Nereus. She cautions Arthur that Orm is planning to attack the surface, and that the existence of individuals both ashore and ocean will be in harm's way. Arthur doesn't appear to be intrigued, even as Mara lets him know that Volko has found the area of the Pike of Atlan, which can be used to overcome Orm and assist Arthur to claim his place as the King of Atlantis. Arthur stays unaffected because of his conviction that the Atlanteans executed his mom. Yet he vows to deal with Orm his own way if he eventually attacks. Orm and his commandos meet with David. As they are an accomplice, Orm had David coordinate the submarine assault. Orm hands David his payment, but he declines for he needs to get his hands on Arthur. A monstrous tidal wave makes its way toward the mainland as Arthur and Thomas are driving home. It strikes their truck and hauls Arthur out. He hurriedly swims back to his dad. However, with Mera's assistance, they are able to get Thomas out of the water and restore him. Arthur looks at the now crushed land and is persuaded to join her to stop Orm. The two head toward a cliffside to plunge into the sea, which is a similar spot where Vulko showed Arthur how to swim with his Atlantean senses. Arthur and Mera board a watercraft and ride past Atlantis to come to a submerged boat to meet Vulko. He lets Arthur know that the legend of Atlan's trident is real, as it belonged to the founding king Atlan, Graham McTavish, and was forged from strong steel, intended to permit somebody qualified to rule over Atlantis. In those days, Atlantis succeeded on the surface and made impressive technological advancements. However, their drive for power at last brought about their defeat, and Atlantis sunk to the lower part of the sea. Nonetheless, their advancements also helped Atlanteans evolve and breathe underwater, while others relapsed and transformed into monsters. Atlan would use whatever is left of his life in exile, banished in shame. Vulko provides Arthur and Mera with a cylinder to find the last resting place of Atlan. Not long before they are attacked by a commando, Arthur and Mera battle them. However, another powerful group led by Merc, Ludi Lin, arrives and capture Arthur. Arthur is brought before Orm with the goal that they can at long last meet. He put it to Arthur that Atlanna was obviously executed for bearing a child from the surface, leaving Arthur with the inclination that he is at fault. Orm also explains his position and hatred for the surface world because of the harm that they have caused to the seas. He offers to allow Arthur to leave, but Arthur challenges him to a duel. In spite of objections from Vulko and Mera, Orm acknowledges. Arthur gets ready for the duel, wielding his mom's trident. In the meantime, Orm gives Mera, his betrothed, a bracelet that he says belonged to Atlanna. A flashback shows Vulko preparing him to appropriately use it, also showing him a move that creates a type of water shield. Young Arthur believed that Atlanna deserted him because she didn't love him or his dad. Yet Vulko told him that she was executed by being fed to the creatures of the trench. In the present, Arthur heads to the Ring of Fire, where the duel starts before a euphoric crowd of people who were rooting for Orms. Nevertheless, Arthur puts on a good display of power. Orm endeavors to drag him down into the magma to kill him. Arthur gets away from Orm's grasp. However, the evil king uses his trident to annihilate Arthur's. Mera intervenes and gets Arthur out of there before Orm can strike a deadly blow. The two move away in her watercraft and are chased after by Orm's men. Their boat is destroyed. However, Arthur and Mera escape, despite the fact that Orm is persuaded to think that they were killed. The two conceal themselves inside the mouth of a whale that Arthur summons, so it can take them someplace safe above the surface. Orm learns about Arthur and Mera being alive, and he commands his commandos to track them down. Yet Nereus persuades Orm to ensure that Mera is brought back in one piece. Orm then, at that point, goes to contact David and permits him to lead the commandos to track down Arthur and Mera, and he provides David with Atlantean weaponry to guarantee that Arthur is killed. David does some personal tweaking to the weapons and suits as he would prefer. Arthur and Mera board a plane to take them to the Sahara Desert, and they leap out without any parachutes. They stroll until they tumble into an opening that carries them to an old sanctuary, where Atlan's trident was forged. Mera puts the cylinder down on a round stage. However, nothing occurs until she understands it should be enacted with water. After doing so, it enacts a holographic message from Atlan with guidelines on how to locate the trident. Arthur then, at that point, finds a container with a guide inside that lets them know their next stop is in Sicily. Orm meets with the Fisherman King, Jaimin Hounsu, trying to inspire him to unite. However, the Lord rejects, and Orm kills him in front of his wife and daughter. He then commands them to have their people join him. Arthur and Mera show up in Sicily, where they momentarily enjoy the exercises among the surface dwellers. They find a spot among the sculptures of past pioneers, where they will know where the trident lies. Arthur sorts it out by placing the container in the hand of a sculpture of Romulus, as per Atlan's message. At the point when put there, Arthur and Mera see the direction of the trident location, which is in the trench. They are then attacked by David and the commandos, and he presently calls himself Black Manta. He fires a laser from his helmet at Arthur, while also using weapons that transform water into plasma blasts. Mera takes on the commandos while Arthur fights Manta. She kills off a couple and finishes the rest by manipulating red wine and skewering them with it. Arthur figures out how to send Manta flying and coincidentally shoots himself with his own laser before he falls into the sea. Arthur and Mera head to where the trident is located after she treats his injuries and also takes a boat. He tells her how he feels liable for David turning into his foe subsequent to declining to save his dad, as well as his doubts that he is a worthy leader or king. Mera guarantees him he is wrong and that he is the bridge between man and the sea. Orm figures out that Vulko was working against him and he commands his men to detain Vulko. As they sail through a tempest, Arthur and Mera are gone after by the creatures of the trench. They retaliate, but a huge horde comes out and forces them to go underwater as the boat is obliterated. At the point when it seems as though they are ill-fated, they are pulled out of harm's way by a mysterious being who takes them to another location above the surface. Shockingly, it's Atlanta. He embraces his mom for the first time in years. He likewise tells her how Thomas has been sitting tight for her to return after so much time. Atlanta tells Arthur and Mera how she got away from her execution and has been abandoned in an unknown ocean. She points out to Arthur that the trident is located behind the waterfall, and just one true king can enter and come out with the trident. She and Mera give Arthur the motivation needed to head on in. Arthur enters and is faced by Carathan, Julie Andrews, a gigantic beast that protects the trident. She questions Arthur's worth and attempts to attack him. Yet Arthur then uses his powers to speak with her, something that only Atlan was able to do. At the point when Carathan asks Arthur what makes him deserving of using the trident, he says he is not worthy and that he only wants to save both worlds. Carathan is persuaded and permits Arthur to pull the trident from Atlan's skeleton, giving him greater power and also a new suit. Orm, presently calling himself Ocean Master, and his forces assemble to attack the surface. Arthur and Mera lead their own forces of ocean creatures, including Carathan, to retaliate and destroy Orm's army. The creatures take out Orm's men, leading the other Atlanteans to renounce their loyalty to him. Yet again Orm then continues to battle Arthur. Just this time, Arthur forces Orm to the surface to battle on his own turf. Arthur uses the trident's power to his advantage, and he breaks Orm's trident, leaving him kneeling down. Arthur chooses to save Orm's life even as he requests to be killed. However, Atlanta ascends from the sea to welcome Orm, and he goes to embrace his mom. Vulko orders the commandos to capture Orm, and he goes willingly. Arthur advises Orm that he will talk to him when he is ready. The Atlanteans then acknowledge Arthur as their new king. Yet again Thomas goes down to the docks and is astounded to see that Atlanta has at last gotten back to him. The two hug and kiss. Arthur concludes with a narration expressing how fate has a way of uniting people and the manner in which it united his folks. He has now accepted his position as a son of the land, as a king and defender of the oceans, and as Aquaman. Halfway through the credits, David is shown to be alive, and he is found by Stephen Shin, Randall Park, a conspiracy scholar fixated on Atlantis and Aquaman. At the point when David awakens, he finds Stephen looking at the Atlantean tech. David offers to show Stephen how it functions if he helps him find and kill Arthur. Now I am going to give you the history behind this movie, Aquaman. Aquaman is a 2018 American superhero film based on the DC character of the same name. Co-produced and distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. It is the sixth film in the DC Expanded Universe, DCEU. The movie was directed by James Wan from a screenplay by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick and Will Beall. It stars Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry Aquaman, who sets out to lead the underwater kingdom of Atlantis and stop his half-brother, King Orm, from uniting the 7 underwater kingdoms to destroy the surface world. Burhard, Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, Dolph Lundgren, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and Nicole Kidman appear in supporting roles. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this.